Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that a planet with twin suns would melt. My name is Brody, and I am joined by my co-host Christian this week as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from Andor Episode 4. I don't know the name of it.
Forgot the name.
But we're going to talk about it.
Numero
We're going to review it.
quattro.
Regardless of what the name is, we've got a lot to say. So, yeah, by the end of it, we are going to find out where this show ranks amongst the rest. So, with that said, let's get this show started. We are going to have probably 33.3% less good of an episode today, as we are without one of our three co-hosts in Amanda.
We apologize.
It's like the second time this year she's left us.
The PTO policy with our company, Duel of the Ranks, is pretty good, though. You know,
I don't think so. I can't say. I left, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? You both hosted without me, and I must say, like,
what a dumpster fire that was.
I wasn't gonna say that at all.
He
gonna
was.
say you guys-
I freed it up for you.
I was gonna say I thought you guys did okay without me.
You're just saying that. Amanda did great.
Wow. Well, really, I appreciate feeling needed. I think you both are excellent co-hosts in your own right, but I
Aw.
appreciate you wanting me to be around. But that said, we're gonna do our best tonight.
Shucks.
So let's try to take on Amanda's job. I didn't prep for this. Maybe you did. Did you get a synopsis?
Well, I did some prepping. I was working on my trivia question right now, actually.
All right, so I can.
So-
Last time you tried talking about what the episode, what all pertained to it, and you really just talked about the details. So today, I am going to freestyle a synopsis.
Okay.
Of this episode. So we have Cassian Andor. We do not go back at all. There's no flashbacks in this episode.
No flashbacks.
None. If you liked them, you don't get them in this one. We see Orlando Bloom's father from Pirates of the Caribbean. Also, he's the antagonist in King Arthur. Just watched that this week too. We see him. He takes Andor to, looks like Scotland, to basically meet a ragtag group of other rebels where they're getting ready to do some sort of it's not like a trench run, but it's some sort of impossible mission. Extraction
on
mission.
planet Aldani. I'm just gonna interrupt you whenever.
Aldani, that's right. He's very Italian planet that looks like Scotland. Aldani.
The Highlands.
The Highlands of Aldani, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so he goes off to Aldani, decides he's going to join this little ragtag group, and we have this really cool Imperial Security Bureau, I believe it's what it's called.
The ISB.
Yeah, okay, I got it right. Sweet. So we see kind of how that hierarchy works, and really, in some ways, kind of the flaws of that system. There's a lot of just rigorous structure that if they want to get anything done, there's so much political bureaucracy to cut through, to navigate those waters and really move on anything. It seems like a very stressful environment to work in. If things aren't 10 out of 10 every day of the week, you could lose your position or your rank or whatever. So very stressful there. They meet up with those security folks from the first 3 episodes, forget their names, and they kind of remove
Sergeant Linus Musk at your service, sir. They
kind of just demote them. They remove the need or necessity for them to even be there. Say, hey, we got this. You guys messed up. You didn't do a very good job. And so they kind of kick them out. And that's the episode. I think I did okay. I mean, it wasn't polished. It wasn't pretty, but it's the episode.
There's a room with a lot of artifacts.
Okay.
And some political intrigue of a dinner party coming up.
Oh, yes. How could I forget? What's her name?
Mon Mothma.
I forgot. Not only did I forget her in the synopsis, I forgot her name as a whole. But to be said, she's a forgettable character.
Oh. All right, to each their own.
No, she's fine. I mean, she hasn't done anything yet. Many Bothans died getting us this information. She's in Rogue One. I don't know if she's done much else. So, to be fair to me, I don't think she's had a whole lot of impact yet. Maybe she has. I don't know.
Well,
I don't read the books.
correct, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the same actress who is in? Because didn't they have Mon Mothma in deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith?
I think they did. I think you're right.
And was it the same actress?
Look it up.
Like, are we gifted?
Look it up.
All right, I've got a laptop with me.
You know, she kind of gave me Julie Andrews vibes this last episode.
All right.
My wife was watching with me and didn't see that at all, but I was picking up some Julie Andrews vibes.
So there was that. We get a whole band of crew on Aldani, which I loved how they kept repeating. We're just gonna go right into the rank and synopsis of this, right?
I might as well.
Might as well.
I have no structure.
I loved how each one of them was like, "What are you doing, a new person? Like, what are they doing here? I should have been consulted." They're all like saying the same thing. They really cared about it, you know. They really believed in the mission.
I just want to say, as someone who thought the first 2 episodes were very boring, and the 3rd episode, sure, it picks up. I really enjoyed this 4th episode.
It was solid, and it is a great show with solid writing, and even like it's kind of I'm still riding the momentum from the first 3 episodes. Like I know you didn't like them as much, like the first 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's picking up for you on the 4th one. I'm like riding it now. It's kind of nice to have. We had the first 3 like that complete arc, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard it rumored, or maybe it was already disclosed, but this season will kind of have arcs of 3 episodes per arc. And that format, I mean, it was a really solid first arc. This 4th episode kicks off another great start, like planting seeds for the next one. Yeah, like it's really cool to picture it in that way. I would rather, I don't know, it's going to be hard to wait for the next episodes to come out. I'd almost rather they just release, each arc on its own, whether it's 3 episodes or a movie length feature, but that's more of a formatting gripe. But the writing is solid. Great dialogue.
Agreed.
Luthen is convincing. I love that he plays, he's playing his political talents of just putting on a new face. Love his flamboyant seller side of the artifacts, and there was so many Easter eggs. I mean, a lot of Star Wars fans' minds were exploding in that scene.
Like what?
Well, that's part of my trivia question, man. I'm not gonna
stay away from the trivia one.
I know everyone else is talking about them. We'll just
listen. I've seen nothing, and I saw the scene, and I thought nothing as well.
Okay, well then maybe
all
I know is
I was like, oh, this is Utapowians, those weird guys from or the guys with the slanted looking face and the creepy teeth from episode 3. Yeah. That's cool.
That planet.
Yeah. That's the only thing I picked up on.
Cool. All right, we'll just go right into it, and then I'll think of a different trivia.
No. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to your little trivia question. We'll leave it all secretive because, I mean, I'm interested to hear the question, but no, watching this episode, I remember I was telling my buddy before I saw episode 4. I asked him, was like, hey, have you seen Andor yet? And he's like, no, man. After Kenobi and everything else, I'm burnt out to Star Wars. And if anyone was listening to last week's episode, I feel him there. Okay. I would not have watched this show either if I wasn't doing this podcast. But
gasp.
And that's why my hot take was and don't. I'm just done with Star Wars.
Remember his hot take? He said, and don't.
Yes.
Not Andor.
That's what I said. And my whole thing was we've had a lot of Star Wars content this year. There's the new Game of Thrones show. There's the Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah.
We're just saturated with stuff right now. And maybe it's because my life is just busy too with everything. But I'm like, look, give everyone a chance to breathe. But all that to be said, I told him after these first 3 episodes, this is insane. And this is probably hot take worthy. That I believed this thing had the potential, based on the bones of what they were setting up, it had the potential to not only be the best Star Wars TV show, which I don't think is that hard, but also be a really good show as a whole for non-Star Wars fans. And so, no,
I could have told you that after the first 3 episodes.
That's what I said after the first 3. I hadn't seen the fourth episode yet, and I watched that. I'm like, okay. Now there are some things I want to talk about with the immersive universe that kind of brought it down for me.
This episode?
Yeah, this episode.
This episode, the immersive universe brought it down?
Did.
What?
So
I was gonna say that was like one of the strongest
there wasn't a lot of diversity.
of the immersive universe.
There were I didn't see any alien species this episode.
You saw those sheep with 4 horns per head. That is talent, because I grew up raising sheep, and fixating an additional set of horns on a ram, that's got to be tough. If you have to shear a lamb, clip its hooves, putting 2 additional horns for a total of 4 horns on a ram, holy crap, that was awesome. I saw that. I'm like, good on that team. Those are real sheep.
All right. I don't even want to keep moving on. Why on earth did you tend sheep growing up?
Well, so I grew up on a farm.
I know that.
I did a thing called 4-H, which is great for the kids. Learn about animals, learn how to take care of them. You just raise animals, ending up to show off your skills, sell them for livestock, all different kinds of things. But it's a great tool to teach your kids responsibility.
Speaking about responsibility, I noticed you got a can. For all the people that are not on video, this man is drinking an Atomic Pumpkin beer. It's pretty good, by New Belgium Brewing Company. And you set it literally right next to the coaster. Not on the coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to the coaster.
Oh, yeah.
You're an
that
animal.
Coaster was more of a
You're an animal.
decor coaster. I wanted a peasant coaster. These are really nice coasters. But no, courtesy of my friend Brody.
Talk about responsibility.
Gave this to me, and I'm trying it. It's really nice.
It is. I'm trying a Sam Adams Jacko Pumpkin Ale. We are basic white guys.
Hey, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, friend.
Cheers, man.
We're basic white guys drinking that pumpkin spice beer and talking Star Wars. Life is good. Yeah. And now it's on a coaster. No,
yeah.
I feel respected.
That was my sin. My bad.
I feel respected.
I'm sorry. I should have put that on the coaster. But it looks like from the internet, and if I'm believing everything on the internet, it's the same actress who's playing Mon Mothma.
Oh, we're back to that. All right, she's back.
Which, sorry if I'm late to the game, which I am. That's a pretty cool thing, How blessed are we to have the same actress?
Well, I don't know if we're blessed at all. I do not care.
Well, okay. All right. I feel like there's some more to flesh out from that. Are you not?
If Amanda was here, the first thing that we would hear is like, oh, okay.
Sexist.
Yeah.
Get the heck out of my studio.
And that's right. I just always have to default back to Ahsoka's my favorite character.
Oh, yep.
That's the thing I lean on.
Disclaimer, he's liberated. He's okay. That is his favorite character.
It's just my kid out of jail free card.
All is good.
It's all good. No, I mean, she's not a significant character. That's why I don't care.
Wait. Mon Mothma is not a significant character.
What has she really done?
Oh, gosh. Maybe we should continue.
There's a reason her scenes are deleted from episode 3.
Okay. I mean,
saying.
How about that dynamic, though, between her and her husband?
No, like, this was the best
husband.
she's ever been in Star Wars, this episode, because she actually had dialogue.
Well, yeah, this is probably the longest we've seen of her live action.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's wild to be indifferent. I didn't hate on her.
Yeah.
I just didn't care
you're
if
not
she was in it.
On her.
I just didn't care. It was indifferent.
Okay.
Now, if this season makes me care, I'm in.
Okay.
I'm not going to just care about you because you exist. You got to do something in a show.
So, I guess...
Unless your name's Kit Fisto. I'll always care about Kit Fisto for doing nothing.
Fisto. Yeah.
And Boba Fett.
Yeah, of course. But, again, getting back to her conversation with her husband and him name-dropping some people as well to that dinner party.
Yeah.
What did you think? Like, is this an arranged marriage?
I love
or
that.
What kind of...
I don't know. I didn't think about anything with that. What I thought was so cool. So I watched this show, Man in the High Castle, a few years ago.
Okay, I've heard of it.
And it really turned me on to learning more about World War II.
Yeah.
And just world history.
Yeah.
And there was so much I didn't know. I mean, just based on what we'd learned in school, growing up and everything, and watching documentaries and everything else. And then you watch these, different docu-series on it. And I mean, what a time. Like thinking back to like Inglorious Bastards, when you have the woman who's the owner of the theater, and she's sitting down with Christoph Waltz eating like strudel,
Mm.
having dinner together, and the amount of tension you have in that scene. It feels like that's the world that's being presented here. We're talking about um oh my gosh, so you see that like people within their own families not knowing who they can trust and being frustrated. You have the Imperial Security Bureau, where I love so much that the head of that, whatever his name was, the head of that team, he brought up that they are healthcare,
Yeah.
eradicating disease, which
Yeah.
Hitler basically saw anyone that wasn't of pure race as this disease ridden. And so they're really, I mean, shot for shot, framing this as if the
Oh, yeah.
Nazis had won
Oh, yeah.
and playing into that, which, it does bring up a lot of that. So, okay, like funds are tight and we're trying to move money around and keep people safe and do all these things. I love where they're going with that.
Yeah.
The fact that the show is dark, darker than anything we've ever seen in Star Wars. I think we are going to have the closest thing we're going to have to almost like a World War II docu-series with that, where the good guys ultimately don't really win themselves, but the cause itself prevails.
Yeah.
And I didn't care a whole lot in the beginning,
Which is fine.
and this last episode very much so changed my opinion. If they continue to go down this route, because yeah, I mean, how scary is that? I mean, Darth Vader is one thing. You're scared as a kid. You get older. The Emperor, Darth Vader, none of those guys are that scary because it feels so. It's just fictitious and
Fantastical.
it's very stupid. Like very stupid. Rise of Skywalker is stupid. A lot of Star Wars is. This is reality. A lot of Star Wars is stupid. And I have a Star Wars podcast, and the more I break it down, I'm like, this is silly. But the
It's
idea
less
of
grounded.
but losing your freedoms
Yeah.
and people you know and love, you're being watched at every turn. Like those kinds of things are relatable and have happened in human history.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing that carried out in Star Wars, where you don't have the Force, you don't have these things to fall back on. You've got your wits. That's about it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
I like what you're saying. Yeah. With his speech and just the introduction of those characters alone was very interesting to see. Yeah, the bureaucracy, the red tape of it all, but also the logic behind it. Their logic that they're going by, and it's justified because it's some proactive measure towards securing safety for the galaxy in some way, shape, or form. Be it this is the form of fascism and like all those things that come along with it, but seeing them interact with here I pulled up her name, Deidre, when she's coming up trying to get the unit and get access to this, and then you have Lieutenant Blevin and like their dynamic, and it's very much everyone's like a power grab. Everyone's out for themselves, kind of. She more so has, I think, more justified means, and they're all like cold and individualistic in that mindset, which is kind of perplexing. It's funny that they were all like fighting each other, and their superior was like, well, if it materializes, then you can get it or whatnot. And it's like, well, it can't materialize if she doesn't get it, and like all these things. But seeing that dynamic compared to the band of people on Aldani and how they are all so bought into the cause or in the belief that they care very much about a new person in their group, but at the same time they're all selfless in this act, and they're going to trust their leader, and they're going. It's very juxtaposed against that. That was really cool to see, like both these two things, and to see those belief systems playing out this way, to see how it carries out throughout the next episodes to finish out the arc. I'm excited.
It felt very human. Like like you said, that power struggle, everyone feeling entitled
Yeah.
to knowing everything.
Mm.
You see that right when they get back and they're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Yeah.
And she's like trying to like stave off their questions, but
Yeah.
they don't really care. I also loved brought in Forrest Whitaker's character, a mention of him with the guy who slept during when he was at his post where he was supposed to be keeping watch,
Oh, yeah.
fell asleep, and they said, "Oh yeah, Saw Gerrera. If you were in his camp, you basically would have been beheaded or something like that."
The guy who was sleeping was named Nemec.
There you go.
I'm just I
Nemec.
have names for us on the laptops just for.
I see that. I see it. You got all the names.
I don't
all the
remember
people.
them. We've only seen it once, people, but
Only
it was
seen it
good
once.
enough that we loved it.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed
love
it.
You know, it's worth loving.
Revenge of the Sith.
Rings of Power. No, I'm kidding. Not Rings of Power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna deviate for a second here.
Bear with us.
Just bear with us. This show's coming. It's out right now. Let's just talk about it real quick. Christian, for all of the people who want to know whether or not they should see Rings of Power, should they?
If you've read a lot of Tolkien, don't watch it. If you haven't read hardly any, by all means, watch it. You do whatever you want, but I think you'll.
Should they watch it? Do whatever you want.
I think you'll enjoy it more if your only reference is the Lord of the Rings movies and The Hobbit. But even then, if you're like trying to compare to Lord of the Rings, I mean, you might even get more frustrated too.
The greatest trilogy of our age. Yeah, no,
I love Tolkien. You and I, we've bonded over this a lot. I've read a lot of his stuff, and so have you. And Rings of Power has its frustrations, and I think it's not far off to say it is quite below mediocre.
Whoa.
Yeah, but that's just my opinion.
I give it 6.5 out of. I almost said 6.5 out of 7 stars.
Generous, very
out of
generous
7
of you.
Stars.
Out of 7.
The 7-star metric system. I'm sure you've all heard of it.
Nice.
Out of 10 stars. It's got a lot to really enjoy. It's not perfect. I have gone through and read the Silmarillion about 3 or 4 times, and
3 or 4, right on.
Right now, I'm going through the Fall of Gondolin. Exciting that we're going to get the Fall of Numenor book by Christopher Tolkien. Still need to go through the complete history of Middle Earth, but
good luck with that.
I love it. I've got them all. They're all sitting there, and
too.
It's just years and years of stuff to go through. Have you read the complete history of Middle Earth?
No, the whole thing. No, I haven't.
It's a lot. I want to read
It
the
is a
Ring of
lot.
Morgoth, especially. But anyway,
Yeah.
my point is, yeah, there's a lot of this show that's silly, but I do feel like they haven't started filming season 2 to see what the audience, how they respond to season 1. And I don't think that people are like, oh, the show is so ambitious. I really don't think so. They posed a lot of questions. They were like, hey, who is Sauron? Where is Sauron? Why is Sauron? Is this old man Gandalf? Is he a blue wizard? Is he Sauron? Is he whatever? Like, there's so much like that. All this season is posing questions. And I think that's by design to just kind of test what people liked about everything. And then they can really drive into stuff moving forward. Now, if season 2 was like this and it's continuing to ask questions without answers, I wouldn't enjoy it. I will say I still think Stranger Things for me may be my number 2 show of all time. And it was a similar format when it started, posing a ton of questions. It didn't come in with this hype that this show had, and Stranger Things also had much better writing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the writers of Andor can help Amazon out. deviate from this project a little bit, because Rings of Power needs a little bit of help, because 6.5 out of 10 is not quite cutting it. I'm enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it. Quite cutting it. And Andor, on the flip side,
it has more like adult, real dialogue. That's not cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, and they're still bringing in stuff for the lore. Which for this one, I ranked the lore category was like, it was pretty cool to see these new scapes of like Aldani, the ISB, how it works, and all that. Well, at the same time, we're getting so much fan service too with Luthen's artifacts in his store of that. Like I loved that. That was really cool. And you can like pause, rewind, point it all out, and like figure out all those. Like there were just some really cool mentions of like Ryloth. There were a lot of things to
Oh, and like
enjoy.
yeah.
Like as a Star Wars fan, you could
Yeah.
enjoy a lot from this episode. But even if you, like we've said earlier, if you stripped away the Star Wars stuff, it's still a great show.
Yeah, and I changed my stance on some things. Like I don't want Darth Vader at all in this show. I don't want the
I'd love
Emperor.
to see him.
I don't want the Emperor. I'm just done.
I don't
I'm
need
done
him.
with traditional Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if I want any more of it for another 20 years.
Mm.
Like that's hot take worthy too. After
No
Obi-Wan,
more.
I'm just like they've got a big story. Star Wars has done its thing. It's overplayed. It's like a little bit of butter scraped over too much bread. It needs to stop. But Andor is starting to change my mind on that. Stop bringing in Anakin. Stop bringing in Darth Vader, the Emperor, Boba Fett, all these people. And just, I mean, like I said, they're going to make Mandalorian. If they're going to make Mandalorian, you might as well bring Boba Fett back in for that.
Have him kill some people.
There you go. Like, just give me some fan service there. But really, though, if Star Wars ended tomorrow, I would be totally okay with that. Just reviewing it, doing this show,
Clip it.
finishing this podcast with whatever they've got, and that's it. That's not going to happen. There's too much money to be made, and that's okay. And we're going to enjoy a lot of the stuff that comes out as they. And again, I don't want to say like I am a hater by thinking, oh, like all new Star Wars sucks and I hate Star Wars, but it's just there's a lot, and the more you continue, like I'm seeing it a lot with the MCU right now, where after Endgame, for me, there's just seems like it really lacks direction. There's a lot of different things going on. It feels very like disjointed, and I'd really hate for Star Wars to get there. It may never get there, but I feel like the more and more content that comes out, it's inevitable. So for me, I was, like I said, pretty done with a lot of the new stuff, but I'm really enjoying this show now based on this last episode. I was bought into the bones. I didn't love the first 3 episodes, but this 4th episode really converted me to be excited for episodes going forward. And yeah, dive into the political nature of the world right now and how barely being out of line gets you killed. And really the consequences of that, and not in this sci-fi way, but a true, like, very real dramatic fashion. So, and I think the show's going to deliver on that. So,
yeah,
I am excited for episodes 5 through 12.
Yeah, it's setting up strong, and I'm confident. Excited for it. It's funny, Amanda ranked it basically the same as you and I.
That never happens.
We're hovering all around, and the cumulative rank is 80.8%.
That's exactly the rating I have.
It's a solid number. She was at 80.4. I was 81.2. You were 80.8. The strongest category we had was the immersive universe,
which was my weakest.
Which was your weakest, which is okay. The overall weakest was actually the music this time.
You know what I noticed? I put music or lack thereof, which is weird because it kind of dings me with the music because there wasn't really a score to critique. But I really loved, like, with scenes with Mon Mothma walking in and talking with her husband, I noticed there was no music. And I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved the stillness, the quiet. Kind of sets up even more so that anxiety.
Yeah. I think throughout, again, it changed the intro theme for a 4th time, which was awesome. But I think it definitely, it just works for the story. I think, like, we've learned a lot with just ranking music and paying attention to it. But it definitely was more subdued or hidden in the background, just letting the dialogue, letting the story take its place. So that's why I think we ranked it the lowest, because it just wasn't trying to steal the spotlight as much. But characters, technical aspects, solid. We got so many new characters in this one. Technical aspects, it just looks so much higher production value than the others. And it was like, we've messed around with the volume, our fun toy, but hopefully they've learned their lesson and not relying on it. You can still use that cool tool, but getting real landscapes, seeing stuff like that, and I don't know, it's refreshing to see.
Absolutely. With this episode, it is now our 5th ranked episode of any of the TV shows we've ever reviewed.
Fifth highest.
Yes, it bumped down Mandalorian Chapter 4 Sanctuary, and the only things above it that we have are Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6 From the Desert Comes a Stranger,
Epic.
Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3, Mandalorian Chapter 8 Redemption, and Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 5.
Epic. Part 5 was awesome. Obi-Wan had a big nostalgia play too. Oh, and that's the other thing we should talk about with this. I think, and maybe some people are like pissed off that Andor isn't, flamboyantly Star Wars. It's not as space operatic. It's hardly space operatic right now, which that's at the heart of like Star Wars it's a space opera. So I can see where people are like, oh, you're just drifting off or whatever. And it's like, this is a good story, good writing. I think we can appreciate that. And it's still contributing to the overall space opera. But I think Star Wars, for so many years, I've associated with high emotions of elation, because it was a childhood thing. So it's like the highs and lows of lows, like experiencing all those emotions, the grand opera-esque of it. And I hope with this show, it would be really cool to just even tie more so into the franchise with like kind of like a mobster movie. Like it doesn't have to have great action or whatnot, but it's just got to have that one awesome scene where someone bests someone and it's this grand operatic, like, gotcha, you're gonna die, or all these other people are gonna die, and like, look who's victorious. Just having kind of like that badass moment. I would just think that'd be so cool if that's what they're setting it up for.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Like a Godfather moment.
That would be awesome. That'd be pretty hot. You know what else was pretty hot? The hot take segment of this show. Darth Vader, bring us in.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It is hot takes time, and I've got a hot take. I said it earlier. After this season of Andor, I don't care how it ends. I want Star Wars to be done. Give me like 5 years off. I don't need a decade. I don't need 20 years, like I said earlier. Give me 5 years off of Star Wars. Let me get excited for it again. It's not gonna happen. But I'd like a break. I would like to catch up more than anything, just to catch up on all the reviewing we're gonna have to do for this show. And then on top of that, be excited for the new things that are coming, because it just feels like a wave of stuff and you don't even get a moment to build anticipation for anything. And it feels more like, more milquetoast content is going to continue to come out. Like, nothing Star Wars has produced since the Disney acquisition has been really good, in my opinion, besides Rogue One on its own.
Not Solo?
Not a single thing besides Rogue One has been really good on its own. Mandalorian is okay. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a lot of fun, but on its own, disregarding Star Wars,
man,
I would like to take some time off, let the writers build some really quality stories out of this thing, and get excited about Star Wars again. And I do love Star Wars, but...
So your hot take is put a pause on Star Wars.
Give me 5 years.
Pause it for 5 years.
Mandalorian can be done.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say what I always say. I totally get that. I get what you're saying, man.
You're so
I
agreeable.
disagree.
You're so agreeable when you disagree.
Yeah, no, I get that. There can be fatigue with these things, but it's kind of like you don't know what you I don't know. You don't know what you want until you get something great. Like Andor. This was a show, I'll be honest, I didn't really think we needed. But having seen it, I'm now at this time in my life, I'm enjoying this show that I didn't really think I needed. And, what other cool things could they be doing that I thought would just be a waste of time, and surprise me with. So I'm kind of more open to that. But to your point, I am kind of sick of the live action TV show format. It's like, just give me one solid movie. Like, don't waste my time with, 6 episodes of Obi-Wan or 7, how many? 7 episodes of Boba Fett or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
just give me a solid movie. Don't give me a mediocre show,
I agree. If Obi-Wan
I'm paying
Kenobi
for
was
it.
a movie, would have done a lot better, like you said before. In my mind.
But those are like formatting concerns. Sorry to digress from your hot take. I think it's a hot take, man. I think
No, I
especially in
think
the
you're
Star
right
Wars
though.
community.
Imagine Obi-Wan Kenobi as a movie.
Yeah,
One sit
saying
through
it.
would have been a lot more solid for a lot of folks.
There was an edited version out there. I never watched it, but
Nah, I saw the show. I don't need to go back and watch the short.
yeah, I was like, I saw the extended edition first. I don't need the theatrical version now.
There's a lot of highlights, as we indicated, but yeah, I feel you. All right, well, that means I get a...
I find your lack of good taste disturbing.
Yeah.
What was that, Amanda? Oh, it sucked? Yeah, it was a thumbs down from her too.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
there
but
you go. There's my answer then.
But at least you had a hot take. I really couldn't even think of a hot take for this episode.
You're milk toast, man.
I know, like,
you got one job.
One job.
That's
my
not
one
two.
job, I was actually focusing on trivia.
You had 3. You had trivia. You had coming up with a score. You did both those things, and you had a hot take. Now you know what? I'm not gonna let this show keep going. We're gonna do this together. We're gonna be a team.
You want me to develop a hot take right now?
Right now,
All
we're gonna be a team here because I know you got one.
Oh, okay. This might piss off a lot of people.
I hope it does.
Deidre's character. Sorry, let me go back. I want to make sure. Yeah. Really interesting. Really cool. Glad we saw it. Hot take. Her boss isn't sexist. He's just a jerk boss.
Wait, why would he be sexist to begin with?
Their conversation where he was kind of talking down to her.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm just trying to come up with a hot take. And when he was like talking down to her in her little appeal to get that unit, and I don't remember all of the dialogue, but I think people could read into it as him being sexist, or if I was in support of my own hot take, he said something to the likes of, it was something like, didn't she come from a different area? Like, you came from enforcement, or you came from something else. And like, we do things differently in the ISB. Enforcement, that's like grunt work. So it's kind of like, because of her previous job, not because of her sex, that he's not granting her wish. I don't know. Maybe. Is this a hot take, people?
It could
I would
be,
love
it could
to hear
be
Amanda's opinion on this.
Yeah, it could be the white male in me that didn't even perceive sexism in that.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know.
For being white and for being male.
I was not granted. I did not have the foresight to perceive what you saw.
Maybe I didn't either. I'm just
making
hot
stuff up on
time.
You're making stuff up as you go. Hey, maybe he was sexist. Maybe we can build a whole backstory for that. I don't know.
If it helps you paint a picture of him being a villain, go for it. Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm trying to think of like how many high-ranking women there are in like I don't know many female high-ranking Imperial officers. So you might have a point there.
All I
Maybe.
can say, I really like their layout. The white uniforms. I want to see Director Krennic.
Director
Yeah,
Krennic.
it's just. I think it's cool to see the window of that and just how messed
So
up
you're
the
trying
world.
to tell me with your hot take,
He's not
he's
sexist.
not sexist.
He's just a jerk boss.
Now, if Amanda was here and she saw something I didn't see, maybe you would have an argument here.
Okay,
But
put yourself in her shoes and fight me on this.
Look, I can't.
We're not gonna
Amanda
speak
and
for our
I wear
co-hosts.
different shoes.
Yeah.
She's taller than me, and I would put myself in her shoes, but flat out I couldn't fill them. So there's no point.
Same here.
There's no point in me trying. So I'm just
Maybe
gonna
next
say,
week we'll put a pin in it and we'll talk about it with her next week.
So for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say milk toast because I didn't
Cool.
see any cases of sexism there. But maybe next week. Maybe next week will. So with that,
You fool! Your take is milk toast.
I do want to say in the comment section,
Mm.
we have a comment from Har Har Loathbinks that says, "Good one, Christian." Yes, it is.
It's sexist.
I don't know. That just says yes, it is. All I know is you have someone supporting you. In the
Right.
comments there, whatever that's worth.
Right on. Sorry, we've kind of neglected the comments tonight.
I mean, I've been looking.
You have?
I've been looking this whole time.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, like one of the comments, the one I really enjoyed was when we were talking about Rings of Power. And you're
Oh.
giving your breakdown in the most Christian way, where, like,
What's the Christian way?
the Christian way is to hate on something while stating all the positives around it.
Mm.
So you walk out of that like it's like a one-on-one with your boss, and you do this thing my mom taught me when I was a kid. It's the sandwich approach. You got to give bad news someone. You start with good news, you give them the meat,
Yep.
and you get right to the good news at the end about how things are positive and what could be hopeful in the future. That's the Christian way of doing things. But as Doran said in that episode,
Doing folk.
give me the meat, give it to me straight, and give it to me raw. That's yeah. Anyway,
I'm gracious. You're
comment
welcome.
said you go ahead and just say it, Christian. You hate it.
I hate it. No. Hate is a strong word.
What do you hate, Christian?
The devil.
What else?
Evil politics.
What else?
Authoritarianism. PETA.
What
And
else?
I hate animal cruelty as well, so
Mm.
don't misconstrue that, PETA folks.
You do kill a lot of animals, or you have
I've
killed a
taken
lot.
care of more animals than killed. I'll tell you that. And I'm probably taking care of more animals than the average listener.
Could you say the same of children?
I've taken care of a fair amount of children.
And how many have you killed?
None.
So you're not Anakin.
Let's not get too dark here.
I was talking to my buddy about this show, and he's like, "Should I watch it? How dark is it really?" And I'm like, "Well, all right, think about this."
Wait, his show or Andor?
No,
Or
Andor.
our show or Andor?
Andor.
Okay.
And he's like, "Should I watch the show?" And I'm like, "Well, here's the thing. You know, Star Wars Episode 3, when the kid comes out, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?"
Yeah, that's a bar.
And Anakin ignites a lightsaber, and you're like, all right, in your mind, you're expecting a cutaway. And he's like, yeah. And you're like, it's like this show, it just keeps the scene going, and he cuts the kid's head off. And he's like, what? And I'm like, that's this show.
What the heck? No, it's not.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It totally is.
I don't think anything's. I mean, Revenge of the Sith is the darkest of the dark.
I don't know, man. I think this stuff is introducing a whole new adult element. First sex
Isn't it?
scene
Yeah.
in Star Wars, the first nipple in Star Wars, the first the use of the word shit in Star Wars,
Mm.
the first I mean the way that boyfriend was killed. You don't see a whole lot of that in Star Wars.
I mean, you say it like his throat was slit or something, but it's still a regular blaster shot. You know, regular blasters in Star
As I said
Wars.
last week, I mean, that was probably as traumatizing of a death as the princess from Braveheart. I mean, that guy didn't deserve it.
No, I think that attributes to the writing of the show again. It's like it, even
He was
though
an innocent man.
well, Amanda hated Tim, and apparently it's still a dramatic enough death. But bless Tim,
Poor Timmy.
Oh,
Tiny Tim.
Tim.
He never deserved. He never deserved.
man.
What did she say last week? I was coming in. I don't even remember what I was
Oh,
saying.
she hated him.
She hated him. I was just defending him. I didn't even care.
He deserved to die.
I
That's
didn't
what
even-
she was saying.
I didn't even care about Tim, but she was going in so hard that I defended him.
She was saying he didn't deserve Bix.
That was
I don't know.
It was the hardest I think I've laughed on our show for a while when Amanda said like something like every time he was on screen, I just like tuned out.
She
And I was
wanted
like,
to punch him.
and I was like, and every time he was on screen, I cared more. And she was like, that was the most
Oh,
white male thing you could
we miss her.
say.
We miss her Rebels take too. Like there was some Rebels stuff in this episode as well.
Oh, there was? I did
Yeah.
not notice.
Yeah. I guess. No, I mean, yeah, there's just
What kind of rebel stuff was there?
well, that kind of gets into my trivia question.
All right, well, let's just do it. All right, audience, it is time for Force Ghost Charlie to take us into the last segment of the show.
This is the way to trivia time!
Man, I love that guy. Charlie, a fun fact, he is actually flying into town tomorrow morning. And I get to hang out with that guy all weekend. And Christian, you get to see him on Sunday.
Charlie, I'm excited to see him. Gosh,
Right.
I miss that guy.
I am really, really excited. For folks who don't follow, Charlie's left our show. I mean, he was a part of it early on, and that did help with all the Book of Boba Fett episodes. And awesome guy, and is now a part of this really cool NFT project called the Bad Astro Society. So lots of fun. If you like Star Wars, you like outer space, his whole project, we'll have him on the show to talk about it. But it's kind of crazy. It's an NFT. Okay, I'm not in crypto and I'm not an NFT, so don't ask me any questions about it. But the whole thing is they've got like 10,000 of these images. Okay, and anyone who purchases one of those NFTs, right now I don't think they've minted, it's not live yet, but you get to go to outer space by the year 2030. So kind of crazy. I was like, no, you're not. You're not actually sending people to space. But I looked at the math.
He's doing it.
I saw the Ethereum market, what they're doing. Pretty cool stuff. So excited to have Charlie. So
We're not financial advisors, but maybe you should buy one.
maybe that's a good call. This is not financial advice. SEC, please don't shut down our show. We are a Star Wars critique show. We are not giving out financial advice to anyone. But hey, if you're already buying, if you're in the market for a new image, a new NFT, take a look at the Bad Astro Society. Join their community, Discord, whatever they got. And
When you said 10,000, I just went off on a rail of Lord of the Rings when he's like, "But my lord, there is no such force." And then they bring in the horns and he's like, "Take thousands, tens of thousands, but my lord, there
is no such force." Dude, that's amazing. He should totally turn that into a GIF.
Patent pending.
Absolutely.
A GIF.
All that to be said, you've got a trivia question.
Yes, I do. The long-awaited trivia question. With Luthen's shop, all of the artifacts, there were many to glory in, take in, enjoy, but one of them wasn't in there.
I didn't notice any of them.
Fantastic. This is just the question for you. One of them was not in there. Was it A, a Calicori?
I don't know what that is.
B, a Sith Stalker armor set? C, a Wookiee's helmet? Or D, a saber hilt?
A Wookiee's helmet.
That was in there.
What
in
was
the
it?
background, it was a saber hilt. I didn't see a saber hilt in there.
I thought he did.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, we know for sure
I don't know.
The
You-
Calicori. Okay, so Amanda, she should have been here for this. The in Rebels, Hera, the Twi'lek's family heirloom is a Calicori T-shaped. Maybe it's wooden or whatnot. Thrawn uses that against her. It's a whole thing in Rebels. Boom. It's in that shop. The Sith Stalker armor, or AKA some people say Starkiller's armor, his helmet, in the background in the shop. And then there's the Wookiee's helmet. I forget the Wookiee's name, but
Tarful.
maybe of a
Chewbacca.
Nope. One of the commanders in
What's
Revenge of
Chewbacca's mom's
maybe
name?
in Revenge of the Sith. You know, when they're doing their battle. Yeah, exactly. So I know those three were in there. I didn't see a saber hilt, so I was trying to come up with one that wasn't in there, which was harder, but I felt like trivia would be appropriate for something like that on this episode. So
You did a good job. You threw me off, and I'm gonna lie, I didn't know what any of those things were besides things that I understood in English.
thanks, man. Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. Next week, we're gonna break down season 1, chapter 5, or episode 5. Episode, chapter. It's all the same. It's the 5th part of Andor. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about our show, too. If you want to submit your own hot takes and you want to hear them heard on the show, Christian, where can they do that?
Check us out. Google us at dueltheranks.com. We've got a whole website of indexed ranks for your viewing pleasure. We're on Twitter, TikTok,
Hold on.
YouTube.
We have a hot take.
We have a hot take, people.
Oh, never mind, JK.
We don't have a hot take, people.
I looked at the email. I like a hot take just was submitted just now as I was saying that. And I'm like, well, maybe we just read what's at the top of the inbox. But
you can submit your own hot take on our website. It's very user friendly.
It is very, very user friendly. We got a lot of cool stuff coming on down in the pipeline as we, especially come November. We're going to look at starting up our own Discord channel because we really want to connect with our audience, and we haven't found the best platform to do so. So we're really excited about Discord. We're going to have some really fun channels to engage with you folks out there. We are going to be at Star Wars Celebration next year in London. So if you're going to be there as well, connect with us. We would love to meet you. We would love to debate Star Wars, hot tanks, all the ranks. We're really excited to be out there. So get in touch with us. Best place to do that right now is Twitter, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe TikTok. I don't know. Amanda's on there, but she can't.
TikTok, baby.
Yeah, she's always putting stuff on there. So that is this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. That one pumpkin beer just switched out my verbiage.
Really?
What are words anymore?
Hard.
Yeah, it's the pumpkin. It's not the alcohol. It's the pumpkin. It's just got me in this state of euphoria, and fall is here, baby. Fall is here. That's all that matters. Football is back.
Football's back. We just had a new moon. Oh, it was beautiful the other night.
Every time you say new moon, all I think back to is being 16 and Twilight being a thing. And not only, yeah, I know. And so here's what I did. Okay, here's what I did. And this is like for the audience too. So I remember I was like 15, 16, and I really, really wanted to like connect with like a bunch of girls. Why? Because like I was 15, 16, just heterosexual male, and was ready to just, meet people and see if we could go on dates and whatever and connect with folks. And Twilight was very popular among the female gender with my peers at the time. And I said, I need to understand.
That's my ticket in.
Yeah, I was like, this is the content I need to know. So I hadn't seen the movies. I started by reading the books.
Whoa, a purist.
Yeah. And I remember getting through it and I being like, okay, like I didn't know at the time. It wasn't on Google and everything, checking out what everyone else was. Like I didn't know it was just trash content. But I remember being like, man, I don't really enjoy this, but the world does. So I just got to get through this. I remember enjoying a little bit the
Is the book not good?
No, the first couple I did not enjoy. that much. But then I got through the Eclipse one, and I thought that was neat. I was like, oh, okay, all this comes together. People are fighting this and that, whatever. And then the last book I didn't enjoy that much either, the Breaking Dawn book.
Mm.
And then I watched the movies,
And those are better.
I honestly, I don't really know if any of it's good.
I don't know.
But I then started like talking to girls about it, whatever. It didn't help me land any dates. It was just a huge waste of time. Big waste of time. I mean, there was elements I enjoyed, don't get me wrong, but like just like anything else, it's like I liked this. A lot of this was trash. As a whole experience, is other things that could have been well better suited. But I was like, well, I'm not landing dates by playing NBA 2K, so I gotta like try something. So anyway, so all that to be said, eventually I did meet my wife, who one day strolls up to we're just dating at the time, strolls up to my bedroom, and we're hanging out talking, sees the books sitting on a bookshelf, didn't say anything. Down the road, I was like, didn't realize how close I was to losing it all with her, because early on in our relationship, she's like, oh gosh, this is a guy that likes Twilight so much that he has all of the books and just has them chilling on his bookshelf. Like, I don't know, man. He's got, and my wife's really into like all the Alfred Hitchcock movies, a lot of AMC classics, that kind of thing, and really appreciates good stories.
Tasteful.
Yeah, very tasteful stuff. So, in an effort to help me land the dream girl, Twilight actually inadvertently almost had me lose what I sought to achieve. So,
wow.
If you learn nothing else from this episode, do not trust Twilight.
Oh, wow. We're sorry, Twilight fans. You can still listen to us if you want.
Yeah, no, we looks like we got a.
It's just Brody. I'm not seen or like consumed them, so I don't hate on them. This is strictly Brody.
Strictly a Brody thing.
Yeah.
And that's our episode. This week's episode of Duel the Ranks has concluded. Go Google us on Duel. Just say Duel the Ranks on Google. It'll give you all of our stuff. We got a website and all the things we're doing out there. So Google that. You'll find Duel the Ranks. Otherwise, we'll see you next week as we talk about Twilight Episode 5 Andor. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you then, folks.